Live. Welcome, guys. Today's live stream is going to be about how you can create high-end luxury models, right? That would be perfect for high-end photo shoots. So the thumbnail that I generated was of this woman here, or very similar aesthetic here. And just quickly, what we're going to go through in this live stream today. So I'm going to explain to you the basics of M.U.S.E. For those of you that are new to this framework, it's a framework that I've developed that helps you craft professional looking AI models and most importantly, realistic looking AI models so that you can use them for a variety of different use cases. You know, if you guys have some clients and they are in specific, let's say they're e-commerce clients and they want something advertised like a high-end fashion, like dress, for instance, that they're selling, then this should help you do that, of course. Different companies will advertise different garments, and depending upon the garments that they advertise, there will be a specific type of model that would be best suited for those garments. So I'm going to go through that today. Okay. And also, as well, thank you for joining me, guys. Appreciate that. But yeah, okay, so let's get into it. So the first part we've got is morphology. Now, morphology is all about the facial structure of your particular AI model. So usually you get different facial structures, and we can see here, you've got like a round shape, you've got a square face, you've got a rectangle, and all of these give off certain emotions. Now, for instance, it'll be very rare that you'll find, or it actually won't happen, that you'll find a rounded shape in a luxury fashion campaign, because there's no distinction with the face shape. There's nothing felt as such. But it will be very common that you'll find something like a diamond shaped face, or even slightly a heart shaped face, but specifically an oval shaped face in a campaign. Now, I had gone into this previously with what I had done as an overview for M.U.S.E, but this was a character that I'd created in Midjourney, and you can see she has an oval shaped face. Now, oval is the most universal of those face shapes, meaning it can be used for a variety of different purposes. And that's demonstrated there, okay? Oval shaped face. And different, of course, like I said, different face shapes give off different emotions. So if we go back and we look at here, these women have got different face shapes, right? So this particular person there, they've got Sienna Miller. They've got more of a like square shaped face, because you can see the like jaw protrudes outwards quite a bit. But then also, like, because of her hairline, it's kind of heart shaped at the top a little bit, because heart shaped faces usually have a narrower forehead, and then they have a very like a visual indent towards the bottom that tapers off towards the chin, which is narrow. So you can usually get a mixture as well of particular face shapes as well. So the top would be narrow, but then the bottom can be wide, and vice versa. But there's usually a prominent part of the face that is featured, and in that case for Sienna Miller, it would be more of a square shaped face. So you can play with this in terms of the prompts that you want to get you the result that you want. So for instance here, I tried to make this woman, and this was the thumbnail, I tried to make her have more of a square / diamond shaped face. Because if you think of a diamond, and I'll actually just show it to you here, like a diamond's like that, right? So it's like a mixture of oval, but a little bit more refined. So that's like an oval. That's like the most common that you'll see for specifically high-end editorial shoots. But then diamond would be there. So it's kind of an in-between, like heart-shaped, but then a little bit more sculpted, if you will. Should remove that light there. Yeah, a little bit more sculpted, if you will. So getting back into the prompt then. So I'd done a prompt, and this was the prompt. I'm going to break it down and go through each of the aspects of M.U.S.E there. So first we're talking about the particular like what we want to see of the subject. Okay, so the full body, and then what purpose is for. So high-end editorial fashion photo shoot. What ethnicity? Certain ethnicities give off certain like phenotypes. Certain phenotypes, basically what they look like. So for instance, for Eastern Slavic women or Eastern European women, they tend to have higher cheekbones, right, and more sculpted faces. So it's really important that you mention the nationality of the woman that you're after as well. So Russian model in her early 20s with a toned hourglass figure. Hourglass literally looks like an hourglass. So the waist is inward, the bust is outward, and so are the hips as well. So it's like an hourglass figure. The subject is an elegant diamond-shaped face, which is moderately angled away, so that we can see that it's like moderately angled away. She doesn't necessarily have a diamond-shaped face as such. She has more of a square/heart-shaped face. It's more square than it is heart-shaped, but we can see that it's adhering to some of the prompt there. The subject has arched and slightly threaded eyebrows. It's definitely adhered to the arched and threaded eyebrows. Slightly threaded eyebrows, wide-set almond-shaped eyes. She has straight ash blonde hair and is wearing a luxurious silk dress that accentuates her curves, with earrings that match perfectly. The lighting is harsh and directional, which suggests detachment, yet creates a magnetic pull. So certain lighting types as well can give off certain emotions as well. So when you have that harsh directional light, you get that more luxurious high-end editorial feel. So all of these have that harsh directional light, where it's just shone on one side of their face, and that leaves deep set shadows on the other side of their face, as well as is able to accentuate certain parts of their like jawline. So for instance here, we can see that the light is shining from above, and that's making sure that there's good amount of shadow under her jawline there. Okay. No problem, Matthew. Yeah, I'm just like helping, you know, in terms of being able to craft the specific AI model that you'd be after for a specific use case. So yeah, walking you through the process of M.U.S.E, a system I've developed that helps you do that. And so far, I've just been breaking down this particular prompt and all of the aspects that are featured within it and reflected within the results that we see in front of us. So, okay, so we've gone through morphology, which is like the facial structure, the skin tone and body proportions. Then the uniformity is, like, if we use the same model, how would it sit across the lighting, clothing style, and especially her face shape and body proportions throughout all of the different images. And then the style is consistent of three things. So it's the fashion category, it's the color tone as well, in terms of how the lighting is affecting the scene. And then also it's the color of actually what she's wearing as well. So when you get that blue image, when you get that blue dress that she's wearing, you get really like a trusting, warm, inviting feel. But then the texture of that dress being like silk is more luxury and high-end. Now, this particular woman, she's more like not approachable, kind of, shall we say, like resting bitch face a little bit. Okay, so she's like high-end, slightly detached glamour. And this is good for certain glamour brands that have a strong like message that they want to transmit. But then likewise, if you'd want her to be more approachable, you'd go down the route of having someone like her, which has got more of an oval shaped face. So a little bit approachable, yet still luxurious to some extent. Okay, or her, which would be not luxurious at all, by the way. This particular woman would have like a heart shaped face. So that would be more like feminine, warm, inviting, and therefore, of course, easier to like transmit something like an everyday product or an everyday use case. Like let's say like leggings or something for like a yoga use case, or like a gym wear. Okay. So that makes all the difference. And when you're prompting as well, you can decide between what type of arched eyebrows you want to have. And that can really like either strengthen or like take off the edges of what you're trying to prompt for. So going back to this prompting example that I had, I just said like diamond shaped face, and then also slightly threaded eyebrows. Threaded is basically the little lines that you see in eyebrows. So when you go to some eyebrows, let's just get a threaded example. You get certain lines that go upward, and it makes it look more intense. the gaze. Like here, that's a perfect example. So you see how the lines are just like threaded upwards? That's threaded eyebrows. And so when you use that in conjunction with like the angle, you can get a very specific refined look. So if we notice all of my prompts on Midjourney, they mostly got this threaded aesthetic to them. And they look therefore more striking, right? So that's that. All right. So it's been a quick one with this live stream. I've just gone into the basics of prompting with M.U.S.E, as well as what you can do when you start to include certain aspects within your prompts, and how it will differ compared to just going into a basic prompt with a woman with no real detail. And hopefully this like opens your eyes for prompting with intention, because it's very easy to just prompt with no real direction of what you're after, and the results can be good, I get that, but you won't get like tailored results for what you're after. So yeah, thanks Matthew again for tuning in, and for anyone else that's tuned in as well, I appreciate it. I know it wasn't the most polished of videos, but it is a live stream for that purpose. I will try to get better over time, of course, the more I show up. I'm just still trying to kind of get used to things here being live. But yeah, thank you again for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time. Peace.